pony up, let's get ready. In the Kingdom of Bahrain, it is time to qualificate. Hello everybody, welcome back to Bahrain for the 7th and final round of the 2023 FIA World Endurance Championship. Martin Haim, Graham Goodwin, and what's the other guy in the booth who I forgot at the end of free practice? Oh, Anthony Davidson. Ant.
I thought it was Andy.
Pressure time now for all of our drivers as we get to the season finale. So many championships up for grabs. And although qualifying is just about where you start the race, not where you finish it, it can actually play quite a substantial part.
It can indeed, yeah. I mean, it's not easy to overtake, particularly in the GT category, but they've done this 6 times already so far this season. And you can see the weather there on the right-hand side of the screen, 30 degrees Celsius. Even though the sun's starting to go down now, still 35 degrees track temp. That's come down 5 degrees since FP3, and the circuit will continue to change throughout this qualifying session for them.
Graham, looking here at Christian Reed, the man who runs this team, who won the first ever GTE race in World Endurance. He's here at the last ever. And Corvette are turning it up to 11 as well.
As always. Haven't they been a delight this year? There he is. There is Ben Keating. 107 years old now, Ben.
You can do this kind of stuff when you are already the champions.
You can.
And it's a final hurrah for Ben Keating in the championship as well, for now at least. He returns to his native US. He'll race in the IMSA WeatherTech Series again in LMP2 next year, where he's been a previous champion, where he's raced this year as well. But when GTE comes to an end, we will no longer see all of these cars, but they will be replaced by GT3 machinery. And instead of 4 manufacturers, we could have up to 8 or 9 different brands on the track next season. So it's going to be a different feel, a different look. The cars look and sound a little different from their GTE counterparts, but it's still going to be pretty epic racing.
Well, getting lots of beauty shots here of these fabulous GTE cars. The final race ever for what has been an amazing servant to endurance racing for the last 12 seasons, 13 seasons in now, in 2023. It's going to be goodbye Porsche 911 RSR, goodbye to the Chevrolet Corvette C8R, goodbye to this version at least of the Aston Martin AMR Vantage GTE, and goodbye to the Ferrari 488 GTE. Farewelling all of them, and they will be replaced, as Martin quite rightly says, by an array of different makes. Two-car teams, we believe, will be the order of the day, and I think you're right. I think it's going to be around 9 different makes of car. Those cars in testing with their new Goodyear tyres. What is the story going forward for this crew? The Iron Dames, Porsche this year, Ferrari up until this year, Lamborghini from next year for Iron Lynx.
Well, and they're also racing Lamborghini already in the US in the IMSA WeatherTech Series. So, boy, have they had a lot going on in the last 24 months.
But yeah, this is a circuit that all of the drivers respect because it's a difficult one. 5.5 kilometers long, 3.3 miles, clockwise circuit, 15 corners. Going to take a look at turn 1 here, one of the tightest corners on the circuit. The pit lane feeds out into this one as well, which quite often creates a bit of a pinch zone during the race, but qualifying essential to get right on the brakes particularly. Next up, we got turn 4. Now you go up the hill into this one, and then it dips down on the exit. The rear of the car always squirms around, and track limits is important, not to go too far out wide there. You will have your lap time deleted. Next up, we got turn 10. This tight left-hander, slowest corner on the track, feeds in from turn 9. It's a bumpy braking zone. Luckily today, the wind is in your favour, and just as I say that, we can see the flag flying high on top of the tower there, and you always use that, well, I always did, as a guide from inside the car to see where the wind direction was coming. If it's a headwind, of course, you get much more grip, more stability from the car. A tailwind is the absolute opposite.
And you can also see that the sun is setting fast here. It's 4:10 in the afternoon in the Kingdom of Bahrain. It'll be dark by 6. Now there is Rexy, the Project 1 AO Racing Porsche. The T-Rex on the side of that car. The IMSA WeatherTech version is a pink dinosaur. We have a green dinosaur because we're a more green form of motivation.
I had a quick word with Rexy. Gunnar Jeanette had a bit of a whoopsie yesterday in free practice, backed the car into the wall at one point. It did look as if that car wasn't going to make the track today, but Rexy's forgiven Gunnar and will be out for qualifying. Have a quick look here, gentlemen, at the design over the wheel arches. Farewell, it's saying. That is farewell to GTE. This is GR Racing, who may well also be saying farewell at this race. They're not too sure they've got a place on this grid for next season. They've been great servants to it and have been banging on the door with some really good results.
So, Graham, for maybe newcomers to the World Endurance Championship and particularly the GT category, they might be asking, well, why are you replacing a GT car with a GT car for next year?
So the answer is, these cars, the GTE cars, are kind of GT cars plus, really. These are really prototypes in GT clothing. GT3 cars closer, generally speaking, closer to their road-going counterparts. Performance not that much different. A few more electronic aids to help the non-professional drivers. Principally, they have anti-lock brakes. These cars don't. There's differences in the way that the engine power is managed. There's differences in electronics. There's differences in the fuel cells for some of these cars. But the reality here is, if you want to expand the reach of this World Championship, and they do, you've got 4 live makes at the moment in GTE. You have 11 or 12 available in GT3, and there is strong competition for those places next year. I think, as Martin quite rightly said at the top of the show, we're likely to get somewhere around the 9 mark, and all those cars are out testing, including some exciting new cars.
So, thus putting it in line with the rest of global GT racing,
Pretty
which
much
uses
so.
the GT3 platform.
Pretty much so, yeah. But this is one car that will effectively be having its last race here. There will still be some GT3 versions of the 488 Ferrari, but the 296 GT3 now coming on stream in numbers, but this is one car that we are going to see the last of.
And the 296 already a 24-hour race winner, won the 24 hours of Nürburgring in the middle of the summer, so we know that it's got longevity as well. So, and you know, Spa 24 hours is run to GT3 regs, so many endurance races are. It's, you know, for the last 15 or 20 years, it has risen the tide of sports car racing globally, and it makes a lot of sense. It means you can take the same car from a national championship to a regional series to the World Championship to Daytona 24-hour, Le Mans 24-hour, Nürburgring 24-hour. I mean, it just spreads the possibilities, and all of the drivers and teams, men like Thomas Floor, who drive the car, fund the program, put the whole package together. That's what they want. They want to be able to go and race some of the other marquee events as well.
Successful businessman, runs VistaJet, the charter jets operation globally. Now corporate sponsors to the Ferrari Formula 1 team, I believe, as well, VistaJet. And this is the key to this 15 minutes of qualifying. This will be the bronze rank, the non-professional drivers aboard these cars. They're fueled not just by the talent they've got, and they've got plenty of it, certainly more than 2 of the 3 of us in this booth have got, but fueled by passion. Passion for this sport. And this is the pinnacle of motorsport that anybody with the resource and with that skill set could come here.
Ready to go qualifying for the GTE Am cars.
1 minute, under 1 minute to start LMGTE qualifying session. Under 1 minute to start LMGTE qualifying session.
The last ever GTE qualifying session. It's the voice of Eduardo Freitas, our race director. And although we will lose the Aston Martin GTE car, problems for GR Racing, it looks like that'll be Michael Wainwright in that black and orange car. Is he getting pushed forward? Just unusual. To make a bit less space.
30 seconds, under 30 seconds. Please remind drivers of the need to respect track limits.
We have, though, seen, Martin, the new generation of Aston Martin Vantage GT3, and it looks an absolute beast. It's based on the styling of the new version of the Vantage that we've yet to see as a road car. Looks amazing.
LMGT starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pit exit should be open for LMGT qualifying session.
As the cars go out, we're seeing the 2 Aston Martins go out from TF Sport. This one here from Heart of Racing. Now that's another story. Yes, Aston Martin will return with GT3 in 2024, but Heart of Racing will bring Aston Martin back in the hypercar class with the hypercar version of the Valkyrie, effectively a less powerful Valkyrie than the road car is, because that's how the rules are written. So Aston Martin maintaining that GT presence, but also, for the first time in a decade or more, stepping up to the top class. So that's going to be a fascinating dynamic to see that car arriving in 2025.
Well, Harder Racing taking over this entry from Northwest AMR mid-season, with Paul Dell'Ana deciding not to complete his season. The car stays because it's the World Championship with that same entry, but it is Harder Racing and branded that way. And they're going to have this astonishing run, Martin, where they're going to have 3 consecutive seasons in the FIWC in 3 different cars.
Yes.
GTE version of the Vantage, the new GT3 version of the Vantage, and then the Valkyrie in 2025. And already colours popping on these cars under the floodlights.
And by the way, if you're a pink fan, the new Iron Dames collection has been launched today.
Remind you are scrubbing the tires and warming the brakes. So we box this lap.
Copy that, copy that.
So Sarah Bovey, bronze-rated driver, like all the drivers out in the GTE Am qualifying, all of the bronze-rated drivers who predominantly bring the budget, put the team together. You know, it's all about not a paid pro gun going out there and battling other pros or other amateur drivers. It's all about putting drivers of the same merit competitively together. Down in the pit lane is the 7th member of the Iron Dames team, Louise Beckett. She's our WEC dame. Louise, what do you know?
Hello. Yeah, so that radio message about scrubbing the tyres coming in, they're not the only ones doing that. I can see the TF Sport Aston Martins, the 25 and the 777. The team are ready with a new set of tyres for those 2 cars to do exactly the same thing.
Well, stand by, because we're on board with Ben Keating, but everybody else does seem to be heading to the pit lane. Now, we have seen for the last 2 seasons battles for GTE Am pole between Ben Keating in whatever it is he's been driving at the time, this year the yellow Corvette, and particularly Sarah Bovey. Ahmed Al-Hati blew everybody out of the water at Spa in the orange ORT by TF Aston Martin, and the Astons were the only cars in free practice 3 that were running on a soft, on a medium rather than a hard Michelin tyre. Everybody else was on the hards, Lou?
Mediums is what I saw at the start of this session. However, what I would say is our job is a bit difficult because sometimes the compound is on the inside of the tyre, so I can't see the squares on those ones.
Tricky little devils. Now, the deal here is, and you've got to start the race on the set of tyres that you use to qualify. So, if you go for a soft tyre, oh, you don't in Am, do you? In the other 2 categories you do, but in the other 2 categories, if you go for a soft tyre to qualify, then that's what you start on. We heard the Hypercar guys saying, we know that, the medium rather, we know that the medium is harder, but is it going to last?
Well, you have to run them, whatever you call it, but you have to run them at some point in the race. So hence having to look after them. And we heard the message to Sarah Bovey, scrub these tyres. Many of the others, as Louise has confirmed, are doing the same thing. And we see this in other categories as well. LMP2 is one of the biggest ones where we see this happen. And the reason for it is not just scrubbing a tyre for the race, you're taking a little bit of performance out of them actually when you do that. But what you're doing predominantly is warming your brakes up and getting a bit of heat soak into the next set of tyres that goes on, because you're not allowed to heat your brakes and heat your tyres. There are no tyre warmers at all anymore in the World Endurance Championship over all categories. So it's quite a neat little way of getting an extra bit of heat into a brand new set of tyres. But interestingly, Corvette and Ben Keating have decided against that.
I wonder if that means that they've found a way of bringing the tyre in a little bit quicker. Ben Keating likes to go out early, go hard, and just wait to see what everybody else brings to the table. He's at the top of the pile. No, he isn't, because Luis Perez Companc has immediately followed him across the line a little quicker.
Substantially better by Thomas Fleur, who's well up on the time that Ben Keating is put in this first flying lap. So 2:03.719 is Luis Perez Companc, 2:04.5 from Ben Keating. Ian James not with a competitive lap time as he completes that lap. What we've got here though is Thomas Fleur with a 2:01.560. These times are going to come down, make no mistake about that. We'll see this throughout any session with bronze drivers as they're learning exactly the way this track is coming to them, learning the way the tyre is coming to them, and it's always really interesting to see just what performance they can pull out.
And they spend most of their time, don't forget, in the free practice sessions with all the other cars out there, And they are, with all due respect, they're the slowest
Yes.
drivers and cars out there amongst the others, the Hypercars and the LMP2. So they have very little time to drive a circuit without any cars around them, to approach every braking zone, every corner and traction event without being harassed by faster cars around them. So it's quite, this is a special moment for them. And I love the LMGTE Am category for that you have to have the bronze driver out qualifying your car.
It happened relatively recently that we had the definition of this session being for the bronze drivers in the car, and I think more or less everybody agrees that with the sole exception of the actual theatre of a pro driver at the wheel of the car, it's been an absolute plus all the way through. These are, generally speaking, the guys funding this effort, make no mistake about it. And them getting the opportunity to drive these cars to their limits in ideal circumstances is absolute gold dust.
Look again, the Northwest AMR Aston Martin on all medium tyres. Ben Keating on a much quicker lap, like 1.2 seconds up at the end of the second split over the current pole time. But look at Thomas Floor, 3.3 seconds faster.
But he lost his earlier lap time to track limits,
Right.
so he needs to improve. Keating goes to the top. It's a 2 minutes, 0.314. Thomas Floor is up on that time by some tenths at the moment. So it's Keating from Perez Compang, and here comes Thomas Floor, and should go to the top of timing and scoring here.
Now, has he been a good boy and stuck to within track limits, though? That's the thing. It's so tempting on this track to run wide. We heard it from race director Eduardo Freitas at the start of the session. Your lap times will be deleted if you don't stay within those white lines.
Half a second up, you saw Davide Rigon there, his teammate, and Francesco Castellacci in the garage. Watch it with interest there. Sarah Bovey scrubbing another set of tyres. Now, again, she's got one set pre-scrub for the race. That sort of releases the release agent, scrubs the release agent off, which is a silicone thing to get it out the mould, which you don't particularly want when you have a new tyre on. And here is the PJ Hyatt-driven Rexy.
Rexy the dinosaur, incredibly popular. There's another set of WC merchandise that's proved to be popular. Beginning to see this ebb beginning to flow. What we're seeing is Ben Keating coming back into this. We'll say, by the way, last 2 or 3 races, Thomas Fleur's qualifying pace has been impressive. But Ben Keating now has got the hammer in here, and I wonder whether or not we're seeing just his approach, his experience beginning to pay now. Here comes Sarah Bovey.
To open up her, so she's on that extra set of tyres that she put on, fourth, but Thomas Floor he set the fastest first sector, Keating set, meanwhile on this lap, the middle is the fastest middle sector.
Thomas Floor was 13 thousandths quicker than Ben Keating, much slower in the second sector though.
Here he comes.
3 tenths off in the second sector, so Keating looking to go top of the pile, and does, and immediately Thomas Floor down to second, Luis Perez Compang in third. Thomas Floor with a disappointing sector 2. This is Christian Reed, winner of the first ever GTE race.
Go second.
Yes.
And he's looking to bookend, isn't he, this GTE era?
Yeah, it definitely is.
Race 84 of 84 in his WEC career.
Takeshi Kimura, meanwhile, set the fastest first sector in his Aston Martin, Kessel Racing Aston Martin.
We should mention, by the way,
Ferrari.
We have got a new driver to the World Endurance Championship. I think we've seen him at Le Mans before. Liam Talbot stepping in for Satoshi Yoshino in D-Station Racing's 777 Aston Martin. I expect him to go well here as well.
Little lock-up from Ian James. He is Heart of Racing. He is Mr. Heart of Racing.
Oh, and he had to back out of that. Did you hear that? Just through turn 2. That's worst case scenario, because that then lives with you all the way up the hill, that long straight before turn 4. So that extra lift he had to make there in turn 2 would have cost him dearly.
Great lap coming from Takeshi Kimura. Better lap, though, coming from Sarah Bovey. She's gone purple sector in the middle sector and is almost, 3.5 tenths up on the provisional pole time. Here comes Ahmed Lahati. He goes to the top. 2 tenths clear. 1:59.199 for the Yamani. It's not a home race for Ahmed, but it's pretty darn close. And I know he's got a lot of guests here.
Here comes Bovey.
Kimura's just gone ahead of him. Kessel Racing Ferrari on top. Sarah Bovey, what does she do? She's being pushed down to 11th, and she goes top. So she had lost a lap. Now, our timing screen, for some reason, isn't reflecting laps lost.
Yeah, so
at least it doesn't tell us when they've been lost or where.
She set a personal best in the first sector and the fastest overall in the middle and the third sector on that particular lap.
Yep.
And Yeah, really looking like she's got the bit between the teeth here. A nice clean exit through turn 1, 2, and up the hill towards turn 4. We bring the car to the left-hand side. You can actually use a bit more track than that. You see the pros doing just that, but it sometimes unsettles it on the turn-in, so maybe something extra to have to deal with. But it is slightly quicker to just put some wheels over that white line. Remember, you can put 2 wheels over, you just can't put all 4 over. You can even put 3 over. If you've got one bit of your tyre still touching the white line on the exit of the track, you're safe.
ORT by TF, Ahmed Al-Hati just went purple in the first sector, but Sara Bovy and Takeshi Kimura have both gone quicker again than that. So Kimura in the Kessel Racing car, Sara Bovy in the Iron Dames car, both finding more in sector 1 than Ahmed Al-Hati in ORT by TF, who's third.
Yeah, under 4 minutes to go now. Purple sector, the one purple sector on the board belongs to the provisional pole setter, Sara Bovy. Lead time at the moment, 1:58.692. Who's going to come back at this? At the moment, Ben Keating not showing pace at this point in the session, but is he just biding his time for a last banzai run at a qualifying session? That's a yes.
He has had the ability in the past to let the tyres recover a little and then go again. But right now, Sara Bovy, second sector, not quicker than she's produced before, but nor has anybody else.
But she's still up on her previous time after 2 sectors.
Al-Hati goes second quickest, so he's jumped ahead of Takeshi Kimura in the Car Guys Kessel Racing Ferrari. And by 1,000th of a second, Ahmed Al-Hati, but that is Sara Bovy just creeping a little bit more out than the car could handle. So that lap's a goner, and those tyres aren't going to be good for too much more either.
No, you can wave goodbye to that set, I'm sure, and this is already a vicious circuit when it comes to tyre degradation, and a spin like this into turn 13 with the tailwind, as I talked about at the start. The tailwind is blowing the car away into that corner, and that's what's caught her out there, I think.
Whoops, says Rahel Frey. So the Iron Dames collection, the website is now live. If you follow them on social media, you will be aware it's probably already crashed. They've probably already sold out, but the merch is there. Let's hear from the team.
No one is improving. No one is improving. We are okay.
Sophie, I did not suspend, but I'm back on track. I can go for one more lap.
No, Sarah, no one is improving.
Yeah, you can try for one more lap, but we're seeing hardly any personal bests out there, let alone fastest sectors.
Although, Ian James, look at that on the left-hand side. This is a much better lap from the Northwest AMR car. That's currently in 5th place. 5th. Does not improve.
Just keep an eye. This is we've got Ben Keating on what should be, I think, his final lap of this session.
He started with not even a personal best in the first leg. The problem is, like I said, it's such an old surface. It's the original surface since 2004 when this track was created. It still remains today, so it's very porous. They call it the macro of the surface is very open, and that just rips through your tyres. So you get the best out, the juice from your tyres at the very beginning, last maybe 1 or 2 laps, and then they start to fall away.
This is one to watch though. 777 Liam Talbot, much better time. He goes 4th, pulls another second out of the bag from his previous best lap, so goes to 4th place in the 777 Aston Martin. Is Iron Dame Sara Bovy on pole position at the moment. A minute to go on the clock. Ahmed Al-Hati has pitted from 2nd in the 25 ORT by TF Sports Aston Martin. Kessel Racing's Takeshi Kimura 3rd, Liam Talbot in a 2nd Aston Martin 4th, and Ben Keating's Corvette was,
That's a pit stop rehearsal.
Pits, yeah.
The only, well, not sure Christian Reed's a danger. The car is currently at the bottom of the timesheets and doesn't look like getting an awful lot quicker. But he might do. Should be top 5. I don't think Liam Talbot's done. That's where I was going to before I got distracted by Christian Reed, as so often happens.
He's a very distracting man.
He is a very distracting man.
Doing too many interesting things, Christian Reed.
His son is racing now as well, although he vowed for many years that his boys would never follow him into race cars.
Younger son is in karting.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of worry.
So, 13th up to 8th for Christian Reed.
And will get to go again, crosses the line in time to get one more lap should he choose to do so. Meanwhile, Liam Talbot, after his first sector, is up on the pole time. The second sector here is going to be pretty crucial. What has he got left in the bank? Very able gentleman driver, Liam, with some big race wins behind him. He's 9 thousandths off pole
Close.
after 2 of the 3 sectors here.
And you have to wonder, what more did he have in this car? Because the tyres are clearly falling away. What could he have done? If he was, basically, like you were saying earlier on, Graham, he's getting more into the groove.
Yes.
So his progression is faster than the tyre deg, basically.
Yep, I
so
agree. Yep.
if he had driven like this earlier on a fresh set of tyres, he could have been on pole position. He still might be, but he's made it difficult for himself. What's it going to be as he crosses the line?
It's going to be close. He's 4th anyway, which is a pretty decent first run out, and the car goes 2nd.
Ooh, close.
That is excellent work from Liam Talbot. 2nd to Sarah Bovey. Ahmed Al Harti's Aston Martin is 3rd. The Kessel Racing Ferrari, I think, was also on mediums, is 4th. PJ Hyatt, where does he?
He improves.
Find an I didn't find it in the final sector.
He improved his time, but stays 10th, PJ Hyatt. So
that's nice. Look, Dorian Pan has come over
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
She's part of the Iron Dames collection, of course, and she's come over to congratulate the other Iron Dames in the GT category.
And we know about the Iron Dames now because they've been in the World Endurance Championship for the last 2 or 3 seasons, but they've also now got an equestrian team representation as well. So their ambition knows no bounds. You just saw in the background there with the glasses and the blonde hair, Francisca, who's their to say PR lady, sort of underplays her role by about 99% of all the things she does. But yeah, she was so excited for to finally be able to get their merchandise stall up online. It's been a long, hard job. The Iron Dames collection, lots of other teams have merch as well, but I know there's so many young and old fans who would love to show their colours.
So the final ever GTE pole sitter is Sarah Bovey.
And Sarah Bovey absolutely shattering away 19 to the dozen there in the car, wasn't she? And laughing and happy.
I think there's real emotion here.
Yeah, there definitely is, and so there should be. Well, Louise Beckett is down in the Iron Dames pit, and she has caught up with Sarah Bovey's teammate, Michelle Gatting.
Michelle Gatting, congratulations, Sarah, putting in another great performance and a great way to go into this final race of the season.
Yeah, once again she did it, so we're very proud of her. It's important for what we are doing with this project. So yeah, it's emotional. It's the last race of the GTE cars. We really want to finish this tomorrow. We wanted to finish all the races how we have done in quali. It's not been so easy so far. But yeah, once again, we show great pace. Sarah did amazing. So let's hope this time we can finish it.
We watch this space with anticipation.
Yes, exactly. Us too, huh? Fingers crossed.
Well done.
Well, they have won with their Ferraris in the European Le Mans Series. They have not yet managed to win with their Porsches in the World Endurance Championship, but this is the final chance. And actually, it will be a great little uptick in their story if they can finally claim a GTE Am win. The program has been so instructive and constructive in producing and highlighting the female racing driving talent that is around and about. And in the end, Ben Keating, well, a substantial distance back, 0.72 back, but there was just, look at that, between 3rd and 4th, 1,000th of a second.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, when we go into the GT3 era starting next year, expect it to be just as close, because those cars, like the GTEs, are balanced for performance across the category. They will driving talent, good engineering talent, and there will be so many different sights and sounds. And of course, we will also have the chance to see a hyperpole shootout at every race weekend, as well as at Le Mans, where it was debuted 3 years ago. So plenty to look forward to in that.
Second course of qualifying coming up very shortly. It will be with the LMP2 class, another class being sunsetted from the WEC for the moment at least, apart from at Le Mans. These fabulous Gibson V8 engined Orica chassis for all the cars in this class. And, well, for reasons we'll go into during this session, gentlemen, there is going to be no space for these cars in the WEC next season. But boy, oh boy, have they dealt out some entertainment since these cars debuted back in 2017. Fabulous pieces of machinery, and Ant Davison, you know all about them.
Yeah, for me, it is and has always been the purest car in the World Endurance Championship. Like you said, it doesn't have to be the Orica chassis.
No.
Orica have pretty much dominated and earned that right to
Absolutely.
become the only chassis in LMP2. Others do exist, but this is the chassis of choice, at least in WEC, and they've all got the same equipment. It's a spec car. So as a driver, there's nowhere to hide.
Nope.
You've got the same car, so it's the teams can make a bit of a difference with the way they set them up, but you can't touch any other components on the car. You can't go putting fancy suspension on it. You can't change the aerodynamics on these cars. You can't even put tape across the bodywork before qualifying, like you see in other categories. So Formula One, for example, they tape up all the sills and the joins on the bodywork for qualifying to get that perfect scenario, that perfect setup. You can't even do that in LMP2. So the driver is the thing that shines in these cars. So what you're about to see here in their last ever World Endurance Championship event here is the driver making the difference.
And the thing that you can do as a team is to put awesomely talented drivers into this car. This is our Le Mans class winning crew. The Inter-Europol competition, the Racing Bakers, called Racing Bakers because Inter-Europol is a major commercial bakery in their home country of Poland. It looks like it is going to be Albert Costa aboard that car.
Le Mans winners, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what a fantastic event they had.
Charles Malaysia in one of the two Alpines. Their final, what a history Alpine has had in this modern LMP2 era. They moved to Hypercar next year with the gorgeous looking A424.
Well, they were one of the dominant forces in LMP2. Then they went to LMP1. Then when that died, they came back to LMP2 and have convinced Alpine that a hypercar program is valid and affordable. And as a result, Pierre Signeau and his crew are going back to the top category next year, having again covered themselves in glory in the LMP2 era, both before and after their P1. And Isotta Fraschini,
We see on the rear, the honking big fin on the back there.
Long defunct 1930s supercar manufacturer, will return first as a hypercar race car manufacturer and then with a street version following. And that is already being tested by the Vector Sport team and is due to be homologated by the end of this month.
Correct.
And so that now being November, not October, and so Isotta hopefully will be part of the mix in hypercar next year.
Team WRT, a massive force in GT racing in recent years, have come here to the WEC and have been very impressive in LMP2. They too will be back as a team next year, but not in LMP2. These cars are gone, but likely in two classes, in the LMGT3 class with the BMW M4 GT3 and in hypercar with the fabulous looking BMW M Hybrid V8. The Belgian super team back in the World Championship next year, and with the post-season test happening on Sunday. Remember, we're racing on Saturday this weekend. Post-season test in one of their GT cars now confirmed. We will see the doctor, Valentino Rossi, one of their drivers in other GT racing around the world, and indeed the Road to Le Mans support race for Le Mans this year, where he won one of those two races, will be testing aboard one of the LMP2 cars. So we'll listen to what's going on at the 41 WRT car.
Okay, Louis, when we go out, we will do Bravo 2 AC on, Bravo 2 on the switch panel. That will be only for your scrub lap. And remember, brake bias check.
Anthony.
So brake bias is the balance between how much of your front brakes are working and the balance between how much of your rear brakes are working. And as you decelerate, obviously that energy goes forwards, the front of the vehicle, and you can therefore have more braking going through the front axle than the rear. So just checking your brake bias is essential. The most important message there for the driver, though, is to gain a little bit more power by turning the air conditioning off for the qualifying lap. So you have it on for the out lap, as he was describing, and then when you come around to start your flying lap, you turn it off, or just before the flying lap, you turn it off. You gain a little bit more power. that way, and then you have to hope that your cockpit temperature in these hot temperatures here doesn't rise above the threshold that the ACO and the FIA put in place, because they deem that it's unsafe. Obviously, the cockpit temperature go too high, and that's the game they're playing, all about those micro gains of performance.
Well, we've all had the hire car where you turn off the aircon to pass somebody on holiday and then turn it back on afterwards because actually 30 seconds without it is far too hot.
Mental note, never get in a hire car.
Never ever get in a hire car.
We've got those hire cars here, so it's the same deal. So LMP2 qualifying underway again for, at the moment, the very final time in the FIA World Endurance Championship. The category continues. It'll be the blue ribbon category in the European Le Mans Series from next year onwards. It will have a whole new generation of cars coming in after 2025. So LMP2 doesn't die. It just ends up getting squeezed off the grid by the breadth of hypercars and the breadth of GT3 cars that are likely to arrive next year. So for the moment, it's like it's a funny end of season feeling this year, isn't it? Because there's so many things that are going to be gone and changed before next year.
Don't be sad they're gone, be happy this happened, because it is wonderful, and we've got such a whole lot of new to look forward to next season. Let's just run through who's aboard the cars as they stream out the pits. The number 9 Prema Racing cars in the hand of Ben Fiscal from the Netherlands. Yet to see Vector Sports on track. United Autosports 2 cars, the mercurial Philippe Albuquerque and Tom Blomqvist, who is a 2024 full-season IndyCar driver. Pietro Fittipaldi, I think, has just signed for IndyCar as well. He's aboard Jotas 28. Team WRT's number 31 in the hands of the very, very rapid Robin Kleins. Albert Costa, we said, was aboard the 34 from Inter Europol. Alpine's 35 and 36 in the hands of Andre Negrau and Charles Benassi. Louis Delatraz, and what a prospect this young man is from Switzerland. Second generation racer, Louis, after his father Jean-Denis, with a Formula 1 career behind him, is in the 41 Team WRT car. Mirko Bortolotti is likely to be back next season aboard the Lamborghini Hypercar. Still waiting for Vector Sport, but we know that's in the hands of Gabby Aubry. We saw that. And Gabby, by the way, has been quite the prospect in qualifying this year.
Yes, he's been highly entertaining. And again, looks like most of the field are coming back into having scrubbed a set of tyres to put a different set on.
Get that heat soak through the brakes, so that it goes from the brakes into the wheel itself as that goes onto the car, and then from the wheel into the air inside, which heats up, and then finally into the compound of the tyre. So that's the process that's going on, and hence they're all in. They've got heat into the brakes. We heard the brake bias changes for the WRT car. That's to get more temperature into the exposed brakes. You're not allowed the cake tins over the top there like you have in Hypercar or Formula 1. Other categories in single-seaters have that. You don't have that in LMP2. So that immediate heat soak from that huge carbon disc brake goes into the wheel, and then you get a bit more temperature. And on top of that, you've already scrubbed a set you've taken that release agent off, as Martin mentioned before, for the GT. So the same process. I think all of the teams know the degradation status of this track. So yeah, we see the Alpine coming as well to do exactly the same thing.
So a slow start to the competitive part of this session before we turn it up to bonkers in the last 5 or 6 minutes, which is no doubt going to happen because it always does. But how capable are these cars? We heard it from Matt Davidson. The career of these cars in the World Endurance Championship peaked at Le Mans in a year where it didn't go well for the LMP1 cars, and so close to an overall win at Le Mans from a junior class, 2nd and 3rd on the podium for the team that you later became a part of at Jota Sport, then branded as Jackie Chan DC Racing. Amazing cars, a delight to watch these things race in squadron service, and we've got the delight to still see that in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, in the European Le Mans Series, where we had 2 amazing races at the end of last season, this season rather, at Portimao 2 weekends ago. We've still got the Asia Le Mans Series to go this year. Record grids in LMP2 for them. We started in Sepang at the beginning of December, and best of all, at the Le Mans 24 Hours, they're still going to be part of that story too.
And so are many of the teams here. We're not waving goodbye to the teams, don't forget, and the drivers. You know, Prema or WRT, so WRT are going to be running the BMW and Hypercar next year.
As things stand at the moment in terms of what is most likely to happen for the WEC, the one team in this class that's on track right now that will not be back for next year is into Europol. They'll go to the European Le Mans Series with a 2-car LMP2 effort. United Autosports have got to wait and see whether or not they get the nod for their LMGT3 effort, but everybody else with a hypercar entry.
More from Louise in the pit lane, Lou.
The 41 and 31 WRT cars both coming in right now as I'm speaking. I can see tyres out for all of them, but also a nose for the 41.
Well, you're not allowed to have different aero spec noses. It might be that either the first one, the lights aren't working, or something else is adrift with it, but it will be ostensibly the same. Visit Angola on the side of the number 41 car. Worth pointing out again that, you know, this is such a multinational championship, but Rui Andrade in there from Angola, the first African driver to get on a podium in the World Endurance Championship, and a really fun young driver to be around. Vector Sports' Gabby Aubrey. Vector came to the championship last year for the very first time in LMP2. Very ambitious startup program, and within a season they are already testing the Isotta Hypercar, so that could be 2 years in LMP2 and straight into Hypercar. That's a pretty ambitious start for a young team.
I'm looking to double up, by the way, with this car going on to race next year. They hope. It's massively oversubscribed in the European Le Mans Series. Tracking at the moment in my other journalistic life, 22 cars we think will be in LMP2 in the European Le Mans Series next year. 31 cars looking for those places.
We are going to, at some point, have a sea of purple lap times fluttering before our eyes. So we're going to have to be on this, as all the teams now coming out with fresh set of tyres, warm enough brakes, and Aubrey's going to open up a lap here, followed by many others as well. And it's all going to be over very quickly because these tyres are going to fall away. You saw how slow the outlaps were from some of them. So here we go, into turn one, the car porpoising around, as we often see with the LMP2s before the braking zone into turn one. A really important, a vital corner to get right and nail that braking zone in qualifying.
Just saw a quick shot of Ollie Jarvis there, one of the drivers who finished second overall at Le Mans for Jackie Chan DC Racing, his class win at Le Mans. Also a WRT driver earlier in his career in the GT1 World Championship. Wow. So he has had lots and lots of links with lots and lots of very good teams. Prema, second fastest, but again, it's likely to be the second lap on these cars that will be important. You just saw Fiona Miller, who's been part of the sports car racing firmament since Tom Walkinshaw first ran Jaguars at Le Mans. This is, again, her final race of the championship. She's been doing the PR for Vector Sport for the last couple of seasons and is looking to take a little bit of a more relaxed life in the future. So I know ourselves and every other broadcaster at Le Mans in almost every other language ever would wish her the very best.
Farewell to the Duchess, we're going to miss her.
Yeah. Well.
She's awesome. By the way, Gabby Aubrey, 1:57.211 last time around. He's 3.5 seconds up on that.
Yeah, because they did basically like a double install lap.
Yes.
It was about getting temperature in the tyre without taking scrubbing the surface too much. Now they're on it, and so Aubrey set the fastest first sector. That was robbed from him from Bent Viscal, who's further down the road. So Aubrey here, number 10 in the Vector Sport car, he's in front of everybody on the road. So as he crosses the line, he will, of course, go fastest, followed by the Prema of Viscal behind him.
1:52.903 is now the mark, and I think that's a much more realistic mark. And we
look at Viscal, he's on double purple sectors so far, first and second, so he's coming.
Blomqvist is also quicker than Gabby Aubrey, but not as quick as Bent Viscal. And don't forget, although Prema are a really starry single-seater team name, it is actually run by the Iron Lynx organisation. So that's all part of the joining of these forces to build a team big enough to run hypercar and GT cars.
He may have made a little mistake in that final corner, actually, yes, and he didn't go purple in the final sector. He ran a bit wide. And he could have waved goodbye to a much better lap time there because the tyres will start to fall away. Tom Blomqvist in the United Autosports car, he crosses the line.
Goes top.
Yeah,
wow.
A great lap by Tom.
It's a final sector, purple in the final sector, 40 hundredths of a second, 40 thousandths of a second rather, 4 hundredths of a second quicker than Gabby Aubry.
But gave away time in the middle sector. So nobody's had the perfect lap out of their own car yet, never mind stitching together 3 purple sectors.
Well, like I said, it's more about the driver,
Yep.
Martin, in this category. So the chances of getting all 3 sectors purple is very slim for a driver in LMP2.
We're looking at Gabby Aubry on track as we get the second Prema car crossing the line. Up on his previous time in Sector 1, down on his previous time in Sector 2. Net result 65 thousandths off the current pole time, but Tom Blomqvist is going much, much quicker with a first sector time almost 3/10 up on his previous best.
Gabby Aubry running a little wide there. I'm not quite, I need to look at my race director's notes to see which corners were particularly being looked at.
It's all of them. If
That
you're
was
spotted,
out of 13,
Yeah.
we spotted it. It's not a better lap anyway.
so already
Not
starting to lose
good
performance.
enough. Yeah.
Already losing performance. I'm keenly watching Tom Blomqvist's time coming up to the second sector, because if he can carry this on,
He's 6/10 up.
Wow,
He's
this
a
is-
second purple sector. This is an awesome lap from Tom Blomqvist.
to get a second lap out of these tyres around this circuit is really something special.
And you know, we know he's quick, but he's not as maybe as big a sports car name this side of the Atlantic as somebody like Philippe Albuquerque, who's not as quick in Sector 1, or Mirko Bortolotti, who's had so many years as a Lamborghini factory driver, who's, again, not anywhere near as quick as Blomqvist in that first sector, but
Look good in the final
Charles
corner.
Milesi,
Here comes Blomqvist. It's 152.863, 152.290, 6/10ths clear now.
Bosh.
And that clears the board of challengers in, up on the Delta times, with the exception of Charles Milesi.
And here comes Albuquerque. Is he going second quickest from 5th? 4th place, so we've got Blomqvist for United 23, then the Vector Sport car of Gabby Aubry, Bent Viscal for Prema in their number 9, but the outlier was Charles Milesi. His second sector not as quick as the purple second sector of Blomqvist,
Quick enough for second at the moment.
but quick enough.
Yes, he can deliver on this pace in the final sector. He will move from 11th, potentially up onto the front row of LMP2.
That's not him. You're looking there at
Here he is.
Mirko Bortolotti. Here he is in the Alpine 36, their traditional number. Is he going to take the final pole of the LMP2 era? No, by 27 hundredths. Has he got time? Yes. Has he got tyres?
Debatable.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Philippe Albuquerque on a quick one here. He's basically on pole pace after Sector 1. Not gone purple, but only 32 thousandths off it. It's going to be about whether or not he can carry that pace through for the final 2 sectors of this track. It is 2 minutes to go till the checkered flag, and of course, then complete the lap that they're on.
Ben Viscal's fine run has faded in the second sector. He's not going to find 6/10ths in Sector 3, is he? Number 9 Prema car is currently in 4th.
Philippe Albuquerque, no. Half a second off now. I think we have our pole position set, gentlemen.
That was a stunning effort from Blomqvist, really was. I know they're still pushing out there. Albuquerque is one of them.
Watching Frines, though. Frines out of position in 9th. He's 0.356 of a second off pole time, but I think he can improve and improve dramatically here. This is...
Frines is the next car behind the 22 of United Autosport's Philippe Albuquerque. So Albuquerque will come across the line. Frines is about a second and a half, 2 seconds behind him on the road. We're on board with Robin Frines. Louis Delatraz also going quickly. Frines goes 3rd fastest. That's a great lap. Louise.
New set of tyres for the 23 United Autosport. They are just about to go back out now.
But he's not going to make the round to the checkered flag before the checkered flag comes out to start a lap. So they're just scrubbing a set and doing a pit stop rehearsal. But
watching Louis Delatraz as well, Team WRT's 41.
He really needs to improve. Championship leaders, of course, number 41 at WRT.
He's 8/10ths down, though, after the second sector.
Second to last as he lies at the moment in 10th position. I wonder what happened to him there. Maybe he had a lap deleted with track limits. I don't know. Didn't see it pop up.
4/10ths down in the second sector. This is the 34 car of Albert Costa. And that car for Inter Europol in 7th place. They have an outside chance of winning the title here. So look at the way the car just tweaks there under braking.
Yeah, not the fastest way to get through that corner. And Yeah,
but he's
I mean,
wrestling it already, isn't he? Like
it's not the way
6 laps in.
it's not the way to be quick around this track, to wrestle the car. You need to be very patient with this circuit. And you'll see that in the race unfold tomorrow, how delicate the process is with these tyres around this track. And that's why we're seeing hardly any personal best sectors out there right now. The tyres, I said, it was going to come at us thick and fast, all those purple sectors flying pretty quickly. Tom Blomqvist did what he needed to at the right time.
It was a very narrow window, wasn't it?
Yeah, very narrow window. They're all starting to drop away, and that, that's the nature of these cars around this track.
So Albert Costa is the one man still at pace here, ex-Lamborghini factory GT driver. Albert, he's been very good indeed in this car. You were saying it a little earlier, into Europol competition, taking the win at Le Mans. His pace, again, there was dropped off in that second sector. This is done.
Costa's had quite a history with Lamborghini. In GT3, it might not be a surprise if he's back in the grid somewhere or other next year.
I think he's done enough to catch the eye of what's coming on.
You don't accidentally win Le Mans.
No.
In a tiny team like this, that's not a Goliath.
By the way, it is first year in LMP2.
Yeah,
that is in
WEC. That is a David among teams.
I think we can call it now that it is indeed Tom Blomqvist for the number 23 United Autosports Oreca that has been called there for a check.
Oh, he only just peeled in, didn't he?
That was a late shout, wasn't it, as he came in? He's going, oh, come on, guys. Anyway, yeah, Tom Blomqvist, well, heading to IndyCar, so we denied seeing him maybe in Hypercar.
And I know firsthand how fast Tom is, having been teammates with him at Jota, my time in LMP2. Incredibly quick driver. We haven't seen him much this year in WEC because he's been off racing in IMSA as well. And but he's turned up here and really shown how it's done in qualifying. Brilliant effort by him. Very nearly the
TCR electric touring car champion last year. Went down to the very final lap of the very final race. Lost out to Adrian Tombe, the son of Patrick Tombe. And of course, he's the son of a famous father as well. The original Stig is Tom's dad.
Absolutely. And he's been amazing in sports car racing. But a delight to see this talent blossom. And pole position here for the 8 Hours of Bahrain in LMP2 goes his way.
Yeah, superb stuff. United Autosports, number 23. They haven't had the best of luck over the last couple of seasons, that car, but they are on pole position. Teammates Josh Pearson and Ollie Jarvis were watching the action from the pit lane. Louise Beckett has finagled her way in with the microphone.
The number 23 United Autosport takes the final LMP2 pole in WEC. That is such an achievement for you guys as a team and a great run from Tom.
Yeah, fantastic qualifying. I think been a while since I've seen a gap that big. So, we wanted to be on pole. We want to go out, with a bang. We want to try and win the race, and that's a perfect starting position. So, great lap by Tom, and I think we've got a good race car as well.
And just a word on the fact you're going into the race on pole, but it is the last time we're going to see the LMP2s here in WEC.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's sad that LMP2 is leaving, but, great lap from Tom. And, I think it's just going to be about putting it together in the race. We have no idea what the tire deck is going to look like or how bad it's going to be. We know it's going to be there, and it's just a case of, how can we manage it and what can we do to get ourselves through the race. But for sure, a great spot to start and, a really good lap from Tom. So the guys are excited, and that's a good motivation for us going into tomorrow.
Great work from the team. Well done.
It's more about the driver's skill there in LMP2, and well, Tom Blomqvist was there to showcase just that, and that 2.5 tenth gap, almost 3/10 gap to the best efforts of the rest of the field, which was headed by Charles Milesi in the Alpine. Now we turn our attention to Hypercar. What can Ferrari do? They haven't really they've been flying under the radar, haven't they, so far here in Bahrain? Haven't really shown their speed. Cadillac ended FP3 quickest. Toyota headed FP1 and FP2. Peugeot really struggling here. The 93 and 94 car. Complaints were coming thick and fast on the radio after FP3. This car is so difficult to drive. Big changes on their way, I feel, with that car. The whole concept from Peugeot for next year.
100%.
But they're still stuck with that, of course, for now, this last race here in Bahrain. Porsche, what can they do? They look pretty handy out there in FP3 and were on a similar pace to that of the Toyota Gazoo racing team.
We're getting into this later part of this second part, if you like, of the hypercar era. We've got this explosion of numbers that is going to continue, but the thing that's happening now, the evolution of this, is these teams understanding what they've got underneath them, catching up in that development curve with the lead that Toyota inevitably had from starting this this journey rather earlier. And here they come. This is the shape of top-class sports car racing in 2023, and it's only going to get tougher in 2024 and 2025 when more and more factory teams are coming.
And we talk about the shape. In LMP2 that we've just watched, the shape is identical, the sound is identical, just the colour schemes are different. Here, not one thing is the same. They all sound different to each other, they all look different to each other, and they produce their power and handle their power and their aerodynamics and their grip in different ways. The Peugeot, startlingly without any kind of rear wing. I mean, it's, you know, a 1964 car, but it's not, because it's got ground effect and doesn't use a rear wing to balance it. It uses a front wing to balance it. You're allowed one or the other. And you look at that and compare and contrast it with the Ferrari 499, which has got the most elaborate rear wing since I stopped drawing cars on the back of exercise books. I mean, it's absolutely diametric opposite.
How is the wind looking?
Same direction, but slightly higher, and the track temperature is 10 degrees lower than we had in FP3.
So a headwind, therefore, down the main straight. It's going to give you better braking stability into turn 1. You're going to have better braking stability, and it's a good thing into turn 9 and turn 10, a really tricky braking zone into there. But then things get difficult with the tailwind blowing the car towards turn 11. Also, actually, I forgot the exit of turn 4. You're going to have a tailwind blowing the car there as well, and through 13. So that's just the driver doing their homework there from Alex Lynn, checking with the engineer the weather, the wind condition, so you can build an idea of what the car's going to feel like before you even hit the track.
Quick view there of Van Wall's Esteban Guerrieri, who seemed to be loosening his seatbelts on the circuit before coming into the pits during free practice. He said it was because he had cramp. He has been handed a drive-through penalty at the start of the race. There's the Ferrari rear wing. How different could that be from the Peugeot? I mean, it looks like they're in an entirely different championship and a completely different rule set. But the deal is, you've got to make up to a certain amount of downforce. You have got a certain minimum weight. You've got a certain amount of power and a certain tyre that you can use. And those are basically the parameters. So these cars are all, they don't have to fit a certain box, but they just have to make numbers in the wind tunnel and in the powertrains.
Another part, key part of the future of this hypercar class is represented by the two cars we've just seen on track. The Hertz Team Jota 38 car going to pit out, and the 99 Proton competition car sitting on the pit apron. Privately owned, identical versions of the cars that the factory teams, correct, in this case Porsche, are entering. And Proton competition, congratulations to them for their podium finishing performance at the season finale in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, the first podium finish for a hypercar or GTP in the modern era from a privately owned car. Great stuff, and we're going to see more of it as the history of this class winds forward.
I wonder what the last privately owned Porsche podium was in Petit Le Mans.
Oh, well, it would have been the RS Spider, I'm sure.
That was a Penske car, though. That was the Quasi Works. I mean, we might be into like Dyson GTP Porsches and stuff. Anyway.
Answer on a postcard too. Martin Haven asks.
Well, Haven's got no clue, the idiot. It was at.
1 minute, under 1 minute to start hypercar qualifying. Under 1 minute to start hypercar qualifying. Please remind drivers of the need to respect track limits.
And stay between the white lines, which is what his assistant race director said a little bit earlier on in free practice. One thing that we haven't talked about so far is the single point for pole. Now, it is only a single point, but championships...
We are roughly at 30 seconds to open pit lane. Under 30 seconds to open pit lane.
Can be won by half a point, as Niki Lauda and Alain Prost know, and so many others. The 1 point for Sarah Bovey moves Iron Dames not into contention for the GTE Am Championship, but
10,
they
9,
move an extra
8,
point ahead of
7,
the third place
6,
car.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pit exit is open. Hypercar qualifying has started.
Great shot there of the driver safety system. A little screen in every single car on the grid that reflects the current state of the track where you are. It could be yellow at the final corner. If it's green at the first corner, it'll show green on your screen. If you're coming into a slow zone, it'll warn you. If you're getting a black and white flag, it'll tell you. If you're exceeding track limits, it'll tell you. It's a great system, and Race Control really lean on that a lot. Louise Beckett.
Just a quick word on the tyre situation. All of the hypercars that are now out on track, out on hard compound, but the two Toyotas sitting here in the pit lane on mediums.
And you just saw a second grab of the steering there from Alex Lynn in the number 2 caddy. Stone cold tyres. With exactly.
Track there. Yep.
In your road car, you go, yeah, but my tyres are always cold. Yes, but you don't have the extreme grip, the unbelievable amount of grip that a hot, slick tyre can give you.
They, again. Oh, there it goes, really corrected, and then it's off.
They really have struggled with lack of tyre warm-up all season long. I mean, Spa was the epitome of that. We saw Brendan Hartley throw the car off in Eau Rouge on the outlap. And you see cars waiting here in the pits. They're just waiting for the track to get even better. As the temperatures fall, continue to decrease as the sun's gone down now, the track will get faster and faster as the air starts to cool. You'll get more power, you'll get more downforce that way in the denser, cooler air. And the track responds better as well when it's not overheating the tyres. But on your outlap, at least for the first lap or two, possibly even 3 on these tyres, it's gonna be the complete opposite. You're gonna be struggling for the tyre temperature, as we saw there with the Cadillac in turn 6.
Was I imagining it? Didn't we see Alex Lynn in that car?
He was.
It shows Earl Bamber.
Well, they just haven't twiddled the switch. That was definitely Alex.
So Earl Bamber's shown that Alex Lynn, we believe, at the wheel of the number 2 Cadillac. The van wall in the hands of Esteban Carreri. Fred Bapco in the number 5 Porsche Penske Motorsport 963. 3 cars still on pit lane. We'll come to those shortly. 38 Hertz Team Choder in the hands of Will Stevens. Antonio Fuoco in the 50. Alessandro Pierguidi in the 51 Ferrari 499p. The Peugeots in the hands of Paul Di Resta of the 93. Nico Müller making his return after injury in the 94. And the 99 Proton competition car in the hands of Jean-Marie Bruni. We wait to find out who is going to be fielded in the 6 Porsche and the 2 Toyotas.
It definitely, although it says on the graphics, Earl Bamber, it definitely looks like the Alex Lynn helmet, which we thought we'd seen when he was sitting there waiting to go. And he has eschewed the pit lane, just carrying on, building heat into the tyre.
Yeah, I go by the helmet design, unless Earl has decided to use Alex Lynn's helmet.
It's possible.
And developed a London accent, then then it well could be Earl Bamber.
Some helmets have a little transponder in that when you plug it in, it automatically tells the system who it is. Some cars, you have to switch a manual dial to tell the system who it is, because the system doesn't have eyes, it's only got 0s and 1s.
Oh, that sounds. It's American.
Well, and that's different. You know, what's the Lamborghini going to sound like? You know, the Ferrari's got a flat plane crank V8, that's a Ferrari sound. This has got the sound of America. The Toyota's got an entirely different noise. They've all got different, and it's a little bit like the LMP1 hybrids. You know, 1600cc V4. I mean, who designs that as a racing engine?
The Lamborghini's engine will make you think of an espresso with biscotti. That's what it will do. That's what it will do.
It had better make the hairs on the back of my neck stick up, or they're going to have to go back and start again, because that's what Lamborghinis are supposed to do. That and terrify you if you're in the passenger seat, or indeed the driving seat.
But for now, it's all about watching Alex Lynn, who is behind the wheel. We have it confirmed there on our graphics, finally, who heads his way down the main straight. You're going to see these lap times build, unlike the LMP2 cars that seem to be able to switch on their tyres quicker and therefore fall away quicker as well. They're going to be building their tyres up through the session. Look at the wheel spin as the Ferrari gets going from the pit box, and that's the challenge that they face on these first couple of laps here. The van wall makes its way through turn 1 with a pretty hefty lock-up, puts himself offline for turn 2, and get a nasty exit up towards turn 4 now because of that.
Now, the Van Wall is the only non-hybrid car in the field now that we don't have the Glickenhaus duo any longer. But that doesn't mean it's at a disadvantage. In the LMP1 era, you had your internal combustion power, and then you added electric drive on top of it. Here, it's one or the other. It's like a hybrid Prius. It produces the same amount of output, it just comes from a different source, and that's the deal here. The maximum power remains the same, whether the hybrid is producing some of that output or not.
Yeah, it's a give and take process with the electrical energy versus the ICE, the internal combustion engine. Robbing Peter to pay Paul, basically. And it's a clever bit of tech. But yeah, like you rightly say, Martin, it doesn't mean, and the reason it's there in place is so that other teams not running a hybrid can compete on a level playing field.
Having said that, the Van Wall is about 75 horsepower down on power. So, but that's not because it doesn't have hybrid.
That's there, yeah, indeed. Proton competition go top. Jimmy Bruni, a 150.715 the best. Just to complete, by the way, the lineup in this session, it is Kevin Est in the number 6 Porsche Penske Motorsport car. The 2 Toyotas, the 7 in the hands of Kamui Kobayashi, boss, and the number 8 in the hands of Brendan Hartley, the Kiwi.
So a 147.265. That is thrown down by Alex Lynn, and it's for everyone else now to use that as a target. And I can't see any other drivers out there at the moment putting in fastest sectors. They're doing some few personal bests. And here's the Ferrari car 51. You can hear what they're saying now. Pierre Guidi at the wheel.
Okay, mate, you're going to want to turn on the MGU, at least to build some SOC. Front tires a bit cool, it's up to you.
Yeah, so turning on the motor generating unit kinetic to generate some extra SOC, so state of charge, the SOC, as it was described there by his engineer. So it's just all about building temperatures, but also building your battery charge for the lap when you need the balance for the car to be right. And here he comes through turn 10, exiting that now.
He's got purple in the first sector, up on the provisional pole time at the moment, as is Alex Lynn himself, up on his own side. A quick shot there of the head of this programme, Antonello Coletta. Join us for the race tomorrow, remember, Saturday race, for a lot more of the stories behind the stories, because there's a whole lot going on in the FIA World Endurance Championship, and most of it very exciting indeed, including all sorts of stuff around the Ferrari program.
Yeah, Guidi losing a little bit in the second sector. Alex Lynn not looks still a strong lap. His purple second sector is remaining purple. Jimmy Bruni second for Proton, not that quick. Nobody else has. Fastest first sector of all, though, now in the hands of Brendan Hartley in the number 8 Toyota that leads the championship.
Alex Lynn did not improve in the third sector and did not, therefore, improve his lap time, and it may come to rue that later in this session. It is a much quicker first sector, though, from Brendan Hartley.
Still good enough to keep Pierre Guidi at bay, though, who was only second fastest at this stage of that lap we were just watching. So here is Hartley. We were briefly riding on board with him there before turn 11. Remember the tailwind pushing the car on through that corner. You've got to be patient there to get the car turned as you go up the hill through 11. The exit there through turn 12, the right-hander that follows. What has his teammate done into turn 8? Locking up big time is Kamui Kobayashi.
Well, Kobayashi is Toyota's qualifying king. He has a special bottom drawer of extra good laps, doesn't he, that he can go to occasionally.
He does, but he doesn't like this circuit in particular. It's not one of his favourite tracks. He's a hustler. He likes to hustle the car. Brendan Hartley on a good lap here. Can he displace Alex Lynn? Yes, he can, to top the timesheets with a 46.5 at the moment. What can Kobayashi do?
It should be Toyota 1-2. They've got the experience of these cars on this track that their rivals don't. The only difference this year is there are no tyre warmers compared to the car they ran last year on the same track. They do have all the aces, and the championship battle is between car number 8 and car number 7. The number 7 crew need this point, and they must beat their teammates by at least 2 places tomorrow.
Off the track for the number 94 Peugeot, but as Kobayashi does indeed go second on the grid, it's an all-Toyota front row at the moment. 5 minutes to go, but almost half a second off, Anne.
Yeah, that mistake down into turn 8 really cost Kobayashi. And yeah, Brendan's looking good here, improving in sector 1, but that's quickly taken away from him by his teammate Kobayashi.
Who else is in?
Fuoco in the number 50 Ferrari we watched on the exit of turn 11 through 12. It's not quite flat out through turn 12 for these cars. It's touch and go. It's a corner where he can make up a little bit of lap time. The car's squirming around as he asks for that extra throttle through the mid-corner of turn 13.
We're seeing a time for Kevin Esch, but Fred Makovici in the number 5 Porsche also within 14 hundredths of the fastest first sector. So have Porsche got something to offer here?
At the end of this session, maybe.
Yeah.
Here comes Fuoco. Fuoco is going to be back up to 4th. Alex Lynn on pit lane, by the way, in the Cadillac.
Yeah, times are starting to fall away already. Neither of the Toyotas going faster than their own personal best through the second sector.
Hearing from Louise on pit lane, by the way, that Alex is getting out of the car, so that may well be Cadillac's run done. So Toyota 1-2, yes indeed, he's going off to pit wall, we can see that now. Cadillac 3rd, Ferrari 4th, 5th, Proton Competitions, Porsche the fastest of the Porsches at the moment.
This has been Peugeot's trouble the whole season long. We started in Sebring on an incredibly bumpy circuit. They're in trouble there with the ride quality of their car. We come here in Bahrain at the end of the year and still the same problem plagues them. And that's what pushed that car out wide into turn 1 just then.
Yeah, beginning to see some of the cars struggling at the bottom of the timing and scoring sheet here, recovering, but not recovering that well. The gaps beyond the top 2 are getting to be longer than you would expect.
Yep.
Half a second here, 4/10 there.
Well, right now, the gap between Toyota number 8, the points leaders, and Toyota number 7, their only realistic rivals, goes out from 15 to 16 points. It is points and a half here in Bahrain for an 8-hour race, so 37 for victory, not 25. There will be bigger gaps. Hertz Team Jota's Will Stevens, 8th place.
2 seconds off though.
Yeah.
Moved up from P12, so it's a little bit better, but not quite as high up as they would wish. Sort of the rear moving out on Nico Müller there through turn 9. So it's not the fronts that are locking up, it's the rear that's stepping out.
Esther on a good time here. It's not pole position quality at this point, but could well move up from where he is at the moment in 12th, but he can only go north.
Or last, as it's otherwise known.
Yes.
That's because he lost a lap. Nico Müller, we saw him lock up and skate off. That cost him a lap for trap limits as well. Nico Müller trying to find a little bit more, but once you've had that lock up, then you've taken something out of the tyres, and the lap took something out of them anyway. So
Estra goes 4th.
That's
a
good.
much better time from the Porsche. He's a second, 1.1 seconds off, but 4th ahead of both the Ferraris. So Toyota, Cadillac, Porsche, the number 6 from Porsche Penske Motorsport, then the 2 factory Ferraris, then the Proton Porsche, the 2nd factory car, then Hertz Team Jota before we get to the 2 Peugeots, and then the further, what is that, almost 2 seconds off, is the Vanwall.
A little bit more performance coming from the Porsche of Fred Makovici. He might creep up a little. But that looks very much, well, never mind Toyota. Brendan Hartley thinks he's done it, and I don't think he's wrong. Half a second up, no one's going to get close to that.
Will Stevens on a pretty decent lap here. He's not threatening pole position, but he's done 2 personal bests this lap so far. Exits the final corner, keeps it neat and tidy, up through the gears. It's great in the dark, and you get to see their dashboard all lit up there like a Christmas tree as he crosses the line. Does he gain any more positions?
Improves the time,
he doesn't.
But,
actually, yeah, they've dropped another as they've been beaten by Proton Competition. And yeah, down in P9, but a better lap. Actually, was it a better? Did he lose a bit of time in the final sector there?
No, it was a better lap, but the reason he's dropped is because Fred Makovici has improved.
Yeah, Fred Makovici.
So he moves up to 7th. Yep. He was behind the Hertz Team Jota car, but has moved ahead of him. So it is now Toyota 1-2, Cadillac 3, Porsche Penske Motorsports with the bread in the Ferrari sandwich. 4th and 7th for the 2 Porsche Penske cars, and then the 2 Ferraris between. Then we get to the two privateer Porsches.
Makowicki still pushing on. Look at the hard work that the driver's doing behind the wheel here. Turn 12, let's listen to this. A big lift off in the mid-corner into 13. You ease the car in with the wind blowing the car still until you get to this part here. The rear tyres clearly falling away on that number 5 Porsche. Down the back straight towards the final complex, just turn 14 and 15 to go, but I think we might see him even pull in on this lap. He's still pushing, brake discs glowing, that's the telltale sign. He's still absolutely fully lit, but no, he does pull into the pits.
But it's a fully lit in-lap to give them that metric of what an in-lap can be. 6 laps and the rear is already going away. They're going to have to do a minimum of 24 or 25 laps in a stint on those tyres. That's 4 times longer than they've run now, and you're saying they're cream crackered now. So it's going to be very hard work in terms of ultimate grip.
Yeah, in terms of getting the absolute fastest lap time out of them, but they can carry on for a good, and they'll drive differently. Don't forget, in the race, they will be in a little bit more tyre preservation mode. But yeah, their stint length, we're expecting 31 laps per stint for the hypercars here in Bahrain.
They're still high-fiving. This is the longest pole position celebration I think I've ever seen. Brendan Hartley really, really stoked to get that. They want to win the championship. There is something else going on. Luis just said it's more than just pole, isn't it? There is something else about that. What do we know that we don't know?
It's that extra point as well that he's just gained, and it's getting tight, like you said before, Martin, tight between the teammates there at Toyota.
Well, Louise Beckett is waiting in the garage. Here are the crew of number 8. There is Brendan Hartley. Let's hear why is he so excited, so emotional.
Brendan Hartley, well done. That was an awesome run from you, but there's bigger smiles than just pole position on the faces of the number 8 crew.
Yeah, it's for the championship as well. No, it was good. I had a difficult qualifying in Fuji. I was quite determined to get the pole. We were quick here last year too. It's been a good track for us, and it was a clean lap. It's so tricky here. There's so much degradation that you go from FP3 or FP2 where you're doing lap times 5-6 seconds slower, and you've got to line it up for one lap and get all those, everything there. It felt like I left something on the table, but actually it was very clean. So nobody's going to do the perfect lap, but that was a good one. And Seb's going to start the race from pole tomorrow, which, as we've seen in the last races, they're very tricky starts. Everyone's very eager to be in the front. So
turn 1 here as well.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that now, but anyway, that's for Seb to think about. I can relax now. But no, everyone's done a great job. The car felt awesome. I think we were one of the only cars to qualify in medium, so I think it explains there's a big gap to the others. We saw the mediums much faster. I think everyone's worried about tyre deg. We think we can maybe use those mediums in the race tomorrow, but if they don't work, it's also a bit of a disadvantage for us in the race. Let's see how it plays out.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So there definitely was more going on there for the car 8 crew, but more specifically Brendan Hartley. He had a difficult Fuji, he admitted that himself, and Kobayashi really showed him the way. And it's for the championship.
And Spa.
And Spa, yeah, of course. But Brendan there saying, look, it is between us two in the championship. It's getting personal now between 7 and 8, and we need that extra point for the championship. But more importantly, it meant a lot to him personally. You know, you always want to beat your rival, particularly when they're in the same car as you. And he said, felt like I left something on the table, but actually, conversely, around this circuit, that's quite often the way you feel when you put a really good lap together.
Psychology. That's the psychology of this is what it is. It's mind games against their teammates.
And again, he admitted they've qualified on the medium, hards on the Cadillac. That'll serve them better in the race, and that's Cadillac's best ever qualifying result in World Endurance. Qualifying highlights then. Ready for the seventh race in the FIA World Endurance Championship, the 8 Hours of Bahrain. Giddy up for qualifying, a last hurrah for Corvette Racing. We won't see them back as GTE has its swan song here in Bahrain. But a lot of these teams, a lot of these drivers piling the pressure on themselves to go out in the GTE Am session to try and gain pole position. Spa pole sitter Ahmed Al-Hati, one of the local drivers here. He's from Oman, the Oman racing team, Aston Martin, 3rd quickest. Liam Talbot right at the death. 2 great laps from the youngster, putting the D-Station car 2nd, but Sarah Bovey head and shoulders clear of the field in the Iron Dames Porsche. Can they win in their final GTE race with that car? In LMP2, all bets are off. The championship is still to be decided. Alpine will return next year with hypercars. Vector may return next year with hypercars. There will be hypercars being run by about half the LMP2 teams. Third fastest, the 31 WRT machine, and again WRT will be back next year with the BMW hypercar program. Alpine going second fastest with their signature, see what I did there, 36 car. Philippe Signo's signature turned Signatech turned Alpine team will be a hypercar contender next year. But United Autosports 23, Tom Blomqvist, a searing pole run. And Blomqvist, like Sarah Bovey, seemed a long way clear of his rivals. And it was to be the same in hypercar. Again, the first really strong running of hypercar this season, with lots of big manufacturers. Cadillac in the top three, their best ever qualifying performance, courtesy of Alex Lynn. Kamui Kobayashi had a shot in the number 7 Toyota, chasing the championship leaders, didn't get there. Brendan Hartley, half a second clear in a very different place. He dominated qualifying and takes pole for Toyota. So that is qualifying done, free practice done. All that remains is to race for 8 hours in the heat of Bahrain, from afternoon into darkness. In the Cap Vincent Vos, to his left Thierry Tassin, part of the Belgian Racing Brains Trust. Kevin Esch chatting to the Penske engineers. And Peugeot, well, it's the last time we'll see this car in exactly this specification. They will upgrade it for next year. Antonio Felix da Costa will have his last World Endurance race for a while. Porsche have decided he will focus on Formula E, but Will Stevens and Giffey Yi, they are likely to be back again next year with Jota, looking to build and improve on their performance, as Penske are, as Proton are, as this Porsche program really comes on song. So 8 hours of Bahrain, points and a half. And the only championship title effectively that's been decided is in GTE Am, the driver's title. There is a very tight battle for the runner-up spot. The Iron Dames are in second place now, just 7 points ahead of their rivals, with 37 for victory in a category. So that is basically a drag race for 8 hours. Winner of first across the line of the contenders takes the runner-up spot, and the Iron Dames would love to end here on a victory. Graham Goodwin, Toyota 1-2. They probably should have been, because they know the car on this track better than anybody else.
That's how the session finished. We have just seen a quick note on the screens to say the number 7 Toyota is under investigation for one of the protocols to do with pit lane discipline. We don't know what exactly that was, but that did pop up on our screen, disappeared for now. But for now, it's all front row for Toyota. That's what they would have wanted it here at tricky turn 1. We saw exactly what happened at turn 1 at Fuji. Cadillac will be, I think, pretty delighted with that performance, and as you quite rightly said, Martin, with the hard tyres on that car. Kevin Estre with a last gasp effort to get the Porsche number 6 onto the second row. But behind the two Toyotas, where you would expect them to show the form here, it's getting closer.
Well, lots for the teams to think about before they head in tomorrow's race, and we will be back ready for all the action. You can follow it, of course, on the WC app, as you already know. And the final race of the 2023 World Endurance Championship season will see a host of titles decided. Who will be happy at the prize giving at the end of the season, and who won't? We will start our action with the race getting underway at 2 p.m. local, 1100 GMT. We'll be on air at 13:30, 10:30 GMT. Until then, from Louise Beckett, from Graham Goodwin, from Anthony Davidson, who I forgot last time, and me, Martin Hayden, thanks for joining us. Please come and join us tomorrow for the race. Saturday racing, day into night in Bahrain. We'll see you then. Bye for now.